All right. Welcome in, everybody, to the CFB Nation All-America podcast, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. I'm Bill Trocchi, senior editor at sportingnews.com, alongside Bill Bender, our national college football writer at sportingnews.com and the former president of the Football Writers Association of America. I'm going to give you about a month of that former president label for you, Bill, just as you're coming off into the sunset. We are coming to you live on our CFB Nation YouTube channel again. If you want to subscribe, go over to youtube.com, search CFB Nation, and click subscribe. We would appreciate that. Bill, it is National Signing Day, which used to be a little unofficial holiday for college football, but it clearly is not anymore. So you and I will touch on recruiting, but then we'll get into the rest of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about Lou Holtz. We're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. And we're going to talk a little bit about how the college football calendar is getting messier and messier and messier. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Bill. It's this snow's got to go away. It's just it's not melting. It's cold. I need, it's almost lacrosse season, and when we get fired up about that, I know Ohio State played their lacrosse game indoors at the Woody this week instead, and had limited spectators, that kind of thing, because it's just this weather, it's got to go away. I think I heard that the groundhog, did it see it? Does it mean we have like 3 more months of winter? Is that what happened?
I think we might have 6 more months of winter.
I mean, it's like Hoth out here, man.
At least in the Midwest. We're doing okay here in Atlanta. We had like 1 inch of snow Saturday. It melted on Sunday. We're good.
Yeah. So yeah, we still have it on the ground, and hopefully it gets a little nicer. Like you said, signing day. I didn't even know it was this week. That's bad reporting, I suppose. But
Sheehan on CBS this morning quoted a personnel director from a Power 4 team, and he was like, "Is that this week?" Mm-hmm. So you're not alone.
Yeah, they know it's already happened. So we get into that, and obviously most of the classes are already done. A lot of these guys are already on campus. So yeah, it's very interesting to see.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing how it has gone down. But let's kick off with a little Trocchi trivia. I think we have some Notre Dame fans here in the chat. We have some Notre Dame fans. We know that listen. It is Notre Dame-centric because we are going to discuss Lou Holtz. Are you ready, Mr. Bender? Here we go. There have been 5 coaches at Notre Dame who have coached at least 10 years. Can you name them? And can you order them by winning percentage?
Okay.
5 Notre Dame coaches, at least 10 years. And can you order them by winning percentage? So 5 big names, needless to say, at Notre Dame. We will answer that at the end of the show. But let's start with Lou. Okay, he's got reports that he is in hospice, 89 years old. He is still receiving visitors, I guess. Tim Grunard, who was an offensive lineman back in the late 80s, early 90s, I think, visited him since Skip Holtz made the announcement that he's, in hospice. We're not sure how much fight he's got left, that kind of thing, whatever. So we've been talking about him in the office a little bit. He's been getting some buzz on social media, some of his famous moments. So we thought we'd talk about him a little bit. Wish his family the best, of course. He's had a pretty amazing life, and I know you did some research ahead of time to do some stuff. So what are your thoughts when you were kind of thinking about how to present Lou Holtz's legacy, and then specifically his legacy at Notre Dame?
Well, yeah, I don't want to eulogize. I love that he's fighting. You don't eulogize someone that's still here. That's something, but it's okay to talk about his coaching. I think there's 2 separate Lou Holtzes. There's Lou Holtz, the ESPN commentator with Mark May on College Football Final, bit of a caricature of the real Lou Holtz. I mean, obviously he had this unabashed love for Notre Dame, always stuck up for him, annoyed everybody that didn't like Notre Dame, but he didn't care. I think you talk about that cliche of faith, family, and football. It's not really a cliche. He lived that out. Like, there's few coaches that can say they lived it out this way. Lou would be one of them. The passion that he had for Notre Dame's off the charts. We went back and looked at here's what I would say his coaching legacy is. And I went through this at Sporting News. So from 88 to 93, basically as an elite run by a coach that you've ever had. And we always talk about coaches versus top 5 teams. And that, 6-year stretch, Notre Dame was 11-2 against top 5 schools, which is absolutely absurd.
That's
and
James Franklin did that, didn't he, at Penn State?
No, Kirby didn't do it. Like, you compare this to like Kirby and Ryan Day and everyone else in the game today, even Saban. It's hard to find a coach that went 11-2 against top 5 teams over a 6-year stretch. And then the other part of that is the 2 losses. You remember, because it was Colorado on a horrible clipping call on Rocket Ismail punt return, and Michigan Notre Dame, where Desmond Howard makes an iconic diving catch on 4th down that kind of led them to the win. So you're talking 11-2 against top 5 schools, and the wins, I mean, they define the decade. Catholics versus convicts. They go to USC, a game of the century. The Florida State game, which is probably, when I was a teenager, probably the most memorable game I remember watching, was 1-2 when they beat Florida State in 1993. So my point, Bill, and it's a long-winded point, that's the last time Notre Dame was the IT program in college football. It was from 1988 to 1993. They were the biggest program in the sport. Lou Holtz was probably he was Kirby Smart then. Like, that's how I would put it in perspective for a younger generation. Lou Holtz was basically Kirby Smart.
But even a bigger personality almost,
Yes. Oh, yeah. Like, we latched on to everything he said. He had his wisdom, his folksy wisdom. The Cheerios game comes to mind when everybody thought, I think Notre Dame hate was probably at its peak during those years because they were so good. Like, people rooted for Spurrier to beat him, and it didn't happen. Or Jimmy Johnson or Bobby Bowden. You were rooting for the Florida schools because they were cool, and Lou Holtz would just go toe-to-toe, beat all 3 of them, beat Florida, Florida State, and Miami in that stretch.
You don't expect a man that weighed about 165 pounds to have control of 300-pounders and have the fear. They feared him when they were 300 pounds and all the respect he demanded and everything like that. Bill, I want to read you something. So I was in the Sporting News archives last night, and I found this story by Dave Nightingale, who's one of the Sporting News legends, of college football guys. This is when Notre Dame beat USC, like you said, the game of the century, at the end of the 1988 season, set up their national championship game against West Virginia. And I just pulled this out. I want to read it. It's a great quote. The Sporting News archives is really cool. I was fooling around in there. You can definitely get lost in the rabbit hole. But he was talking about Lou Holtz, and he said in 22 years, so I guess it was 1966, Lou Holtz was fired from the South Carolina staff as an assistant coach, and he was looking for a job. And he he took a pen and paper and made a list of 107 things he liked to achieve before he departed this mortal coil, says David Nightingale. At last count, and again, this is after the USC game, Holtz had placed a check mark in front of 84 of those 107 items. Among the personal goals, he had been able to reach a papal audience, dinner at the White House, a guest appearance on Johnny Carson, and a hole-in-one. Item number 85 was to win the national championship. So pretty fun little note there. Really cool story, obviously, by Mr. Nightingale and in Sporting News. So he grew up as a really poor family in West Virginia. Now we're talking about papal audiences and Johnny Carson and national championships. I mean, the guy really was one of one. Well, you're on mute. You're on mute, Bill.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going to talk about the Ryan Day back and forth, but I mean, he grew up in East Liverpool, Ohio. He coached under Woody Hayes for a year. So I think the older Ohio State audience understands that, that's where it started in a lot of ways for Lou Holtz. He went to Kent State. So he's got a lot of connections around this state. The story I was going to say is I went to a Catholic fundraiser a couple years ago. It was a sports trivia night kind of deal. And, there are a ton of people at this event. And they had guest speakers, and Frank Stams was there. And Lou Holtz didn't attend this thing, but he did a video message, and everybody just like not on your phones, feet on the floor, paying attention. I mean, he had that kind of presence and that kind of love for the Catholic Church. Like you said, that list doesn't surprise me. And, hopefully he keep fighting, because, I like Skip Holtz too. And I've always loved Lou Holtz's contributions to the game of college football. It goes beyond, there's nothing more Notre Dame than Lou Holtz.
One of the most fun parts of that Catholic First Convicts ESPN 30 for 30 is, I think it was Pat Terrell, who was constantly imitating Lou Holtz. Yeah. Said, Terrell, you have the worst hands I've ever seen of any wide receiver in Notre Dame history. And so it is clear how much they all loved him and respected him. And, his famous quote about, if you want to fight these guys, we go in the parking lot after the game and make sure you save Jimmy Johnson for me. Come on. That rocketed those guys out of the locker room right into a 21-7 lead in that game. They didn't slow down. So, we wish him the best, of course. And I think his when we hear about Marcus Freeman, when we hear about the possible national championship, Lou Holtz is going to come back into the conversation.
Absolutely. And, Marcus has got them on the right track, which kind of segues into the recruiting rankings. Notre Dame, even though it is signing day, so number 4 class, 5 stars, recruiting at an elite. I think they're recruiting at, maybe I shouldn't say this because I don't know if it's fact. I'm guessing they're recruiting at an unprecedented level under Marcus Freeman the last few years. It's been really good.
It has. Yeah. So let's kind of jump into recruiting. I was over on the 24/7 site for a little bit yesterday and looking at the numbers and everything like that. And so nowadays, in addition to signing day basically being irrelevant in February, it's obviously moved to December, but the transfer portal has taken on such an important part of building your team and all the newcomers that are coming in. I think 24/7 has done a nice job of separating the two. Where they still have the high school rankings, then they also have the transfer portal rankings, and then they combine the two. So in the high school rankings, the USC is number 1. They have 36 commits because there's no more cap on high school, how many kids you can sign. But on the flip side, USC, I think, is 30th in the transfer portal rankings because they only have 8 players. And then overall, they think they're 4 or 5 or something like that. So you have to kind of take into consideration the high school and the transfer. Notre Dame was 5th in the recruiting rankings. And then in the transfer, they were 11th because they only took 7. But I think they took 2 former 5-star kids coming out of high school. So they're looking at the overall newcomer list or whatever. And we talked about it yesterday. The top 5 is number 1 is LSU and Lane Kiffin. They have 5 5-stars listed at 24/7 among the newcomers. Okay. That means they've got, I think I have it here. They've got 2 high school 5-stars and 3 transfer 5-stars in Jordan Seaton, the Colorado left tackle, Prince Umana-Milan from Ole Miss, the edge, who wreaked some havoc in the college football playoff for sure. And then Sam Levitt at quarterback was ranked a transfer 5-star. So LSU has 5 transfer 5 overall 5-stars in their newcomer class, if that's what you want to call it. So I'll give the mic to you just real quick. LSU, Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, USC are the top 5 as far as overall newcomers.
Yeah, I like this list. And if you look at the top 12, that's probably the top 12 programs in college football right now, honestly, if you want to look at it that way, with the absence of maybe Indiana, who's 20th. But, Indiana will continue to recruit better with each year that Kurt Cignetti has success. So that top 5, LSU, Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, USC, isn't surprising. I think USC is kind of the school that caught my eye because they did have an outstanding recruiting class. They are trying to figure or have got some things figured out on the NIL side. That was something that Lincoln Riley talked about 2 years ago. We're catching up, and you're kind of like, you're USC. What do you mean you're catching up? And I think just their overall organization might be a little bit better right now. And you could argue that, whether it's USC 5, Oregon 8, and I'm trying to find, Washington had a really good recruiting class, but they're still 18. The Big Ten impact on those West Coast schools, it's a bump. It's kind of like the bump Oklahoma and Texas got from joining in the SEC. I mean, Texas maybe less, but Oklahoma certainly got a bump from that. It's confusing when you have to combine the portal and the recruiting rankings. I still think recruiting should matter more, but I don't know that it does when you can bring in 40 transfers a year.
Absolutely. No, I think the transfer portal, I mean, you get a better evaluation of the kid, right? More accurate evaluation. And how often do these recruiting classes stay together for 2 or 3 years? They don't. So I do think the transfer portal, right? I don't know how they weight it. I don't know their formulas or whatever. But to me, the transfer portal classes are more important. Just look at Miami. Look at all these schools that have, who have done well. I think we talked about the last 4 quarterbacks in the 2 championship games have all been first-year transfers, fifth-year guys who what you're getting. And they were, Will Howard and Riley Leonard last year, Fernando and Carson Beck this year. In the last year of their college experience, they go to a new team and they take them to the national championship game. So, yeah, I believe in the portal. Definitely just breaking down Notre Dame a little bit more. They have 37 combined newcomers and, transfer portal and high school kids, 4 5-stars, 2 high school 5-stars. Like I said, 2 transfer 5-stars. Although they weren't ranked 5-stars as transfers, they were 5-stars coming out of high school, 4-star transfers, but they averaged them out to 4.5, and they kind of counted them as 5-stars. So that's where those numbers came from for Notre Dame. But yeah, by all accounts, very good incoming class to supplement a really veteran defense Notre Dame is going to have next year, coupled with not the most challenging schedule. And we've talked about it. I mean, I think 11-1 is a safe assumption for Notre Dame.
Should be. And, then they won't have to worry about being left out. And I think this team it kind of circles back to the Lou Holtz discussion. Like, they're starting to get that, take the steps necessary to get a national championship team, which they haven't had since 1988. And, Marcus Freeman will have to show. I mean, that's the other thing you have to show. When you get in those top 5 games, you're going to have to win them. Lou won them during that 6-year stretch like anybody else. You got to go through those schools. But, yeah, I think there's a tremendous opportunity with the roster that Notre Dame has coming back with quarterback, receivers, all these the right additions in the portal. You get a couple receivers. They made the right additions, and I think they're going to be really, really good.
By the way, did you see Lincoln Riley's comment to Colin Cowherd?
I saw this, I didn't click on it. Was there something that, there's a lot of USC things were on my timeline last night.
Cowherd asked him about the new parity in college football and how the Big Ten has benefited a little bit. Indiana came out of nowhere, obviously. Ole Miss a little bit. And Lincoln Riley's comment was about NIL. Well, now, not only we don't only have one part of the country paying the players. We have everybody.
So, I mean, who that's directed at. I mean, we all do. Well, I mean, there's been a lot written on that this week, too.
I'm sure Oklahoma did everything by the book when he was at Oklahoma. Right?
I'm sure, for sure. Absolutely. All the schools did all over the country before NIL. Nobody was cheating.
One more school I want to touch on. You touch on Indiana, right? You're a preseason number 1. What's coming back next year? So, like you said, they're number 20 overall, 39 newcomers, no 5-stars out of high school, no 5-stars out of the transfer portal. The headliner of that portal class, of course, is TCU quarterback Josh Hoover. He was a 4-star, ranked by 24/7 as a transfer portal guy. So you're not bothered by that because you have preseason number 1. We have preseason number 1. Cignetti has proven he can win with 3 stars and below. So, but I think 20 is a rise from where they have been living the past few years.
Well, and for those like assuming there's going to be a drop off, they had guys stay. Like Carter Smith stayed, Tyree Tucker stayed. They've got plenty of pieces from not the national championship team coming back. And then they make some really high profile ads. Nick Marsh, receiver from Michigan State, super talented. Hoover, we've talked about. Turbo Richard comes in at running back. A couple on the defensive side as well, but their defense is mostly intact. I know Whitmer just took a job. Where did he go yesterday? I just saw that the NFL job. The co-offensive coordinator left for the NFL.
Yep.
So, this is a team that's still going to be really good next year, and the schedule's going to be tough, but they've answered that. And I think one of the things that Cignetti said during the national championship weekend, he's like, okay, you're going to rely on the portal, and then once you're good, more kids are going to want to go to Indiana. So I think their recruiting classes are going to look at where the recruiting classes were before Kurt got there and look at them now. I mean, it might not be like top 5, but that takes time at Indiana. So I think they're just fine. One other quick note: Georgia a little low. You're not used to looking at recruiting list of any kind and seeing Georgia outside of the top 10. So at 11, so
top 2.
Right, like top, yeah. You're not used to scrolling at all to get to Georgia, and having them at 11 is a little bit eye opening. But that's again a combination of recruiting and portal. Sometimes you don't use the portal as much if you keep the guys you have.
Right. So yeah, Georgia came in at what, 11? Yeah, with only 1 5-star. So that is notable for sure. Somebody had a really high average rating. That was Miami. So if you go by the average rating of kids coming in, Notre Dame is actually number 1, USC 2, Oregon 3, Miami 4. So that takes out the variable of how many kids you have and just looks at the average quality of player in there. So Miami's going to be a factor again, of course, bringing people in like that. And Indiana is they're at 20 for that list as well. So interesting. I wanted to touch on a story you did this week. I guess it's coming out tomorrow, but you did the research because it's Super Bowl week, baby. This mug is from the last time the Patriots played the Seahawks. And so I'm drinking out of this, the Malcolm Butler game, the forgotten. Tom Brady had an awesome fourth quarter game, but everybody forgot about it because Malcolm Butler got the interception game. So you went through the current Seahawks and Patriots rosters and looked at where the kids came from college. And the biggest number that stood out was the FCS number, right?
Yeah. 13 FCS players are in the Super Bowl.
Incredible.
That's a high number. It's normally like around 5 to 6. The whole can find guys anywhere.
Seahawks have 9 themselves, just by themselves. They have 9.
Yeah, and I think a product of that, and I'm going to look into that as well, is they're taking the kids from that corner of the country. They probably got scouts on North Dakota State, 2 offensive linemen from North Dakota State.
Yeah,
Montana, Eastern Washington, obviously Cooper Kupp. We all know who he is. Eastern Washington has a player on each team in the Super Bowl. So that high. Here's the number is 13 FCS guys, 7 Big 12 guys. And now so when you do the by conference list right now, it's a little skewed because I admittedly kind of put a hyphen or a asterisk next to it because the guys from Texas might have played in the Big 12. The guys from USC might have played in the Pac-12, but the Pac-12
or signed there at least.
So we're putting air quotes on, those USC guys. Like Darnold didn't play in the Big 10, but the USC guys technically represent the Big 10 now. So it's a weird, so that's a little skewed, but the fact, there's still 13 FCS guys. There's still, 4 guys from USC, that kind of thing. So I always like doing that because it is a infomercial for the colleges in some ways. Notre Dame obviously has got 2 guys in this Super Bowl, Julian Love and Riley Mills, both with the Seahawks. But it's always a fun exercise for me to look and see where all these guys went to college. Because know, when you're sitting on the couch with your buddy, hey, where'd that guy play? That's going to come up a couple times.
That's right. Vanderbilt, Patriots, long snapper. They've got one SEC guy there, and SEC is the top 16 Patriots, 14 Seahawks for 30 total SEC players in this game. But we'll see. So Sam Darnold counts as Big Ten, right?
Technically, and that's why I say, like, for the next couple of years, this is going to be a weird thing where you put the conference in there and people can nitpick that, and that's fine. But I'm still going to go. I'm not going to go look. Hell, USC was in the Pac-12 then. That will take too long, and I don't have time on Super Bowl week. I've got other content to write. Oh, the other one was Travion Henderson. That was an interesting one for me. He has a chance to, win a natty and then win a Super Bowl as a rookie.
Yes.
Pretty good 2-year stretch for him. And with Mike Vrabel, who, by the way, this is one we're doing next, is Vrabel could be the coach from Ohio State to win a Super Bowl. Don McCafferty, way back in Super Bowl V, for those who remember Super Bowl V, kid, won a Super Bowl there. I know that's a question that'll come up. Did Ohio State ever have a guy win a Super Bowl? And I went through and looked at all the coaches who where they coached before – the NFL, or what college they went to, Super Bowl roster by college for the coaches. And there's a lot of West Coast guys that have coached in the Super Bowl.
And now Ohio State last year went, 14-2?
They lost 2.
And they won 14, right? So this is Travion Henderson's 37th football game. Between his senior year of college and his rookie year in the NFL. That's a big number.
Oh, for sure.
Fortunately, he's had a position share at both spots where he was not the bell cow running back for Ohio State or for the Patriots. So
and I believe the trivia question, I think I told, this is a semi trivia question for the Troche trivia. Which college has produced the most coaches in the Super Bowl? See if our listeners know. We'll give you a second to figure that out. I think I told you this answer.
Yes, I think you did.
And hint, their basketball team's undefeated right now. Unfortunately. Hint number 2, Bobcats don't like them. So, Miami of Ohio with Weeb Eubank, John Harbaugh, and Sean McVay leads all colleges with 3 coaches that have coached in the Super Bowl. I thought that was interesting.
Sean McVay from Marist High School right here in Atlanta. So, all right, let's get to one more thing just real quick. The college football playoff announced the dates for the CFP quarterfinals and semifinals for next season and the season after, and they're stretching it out a little bit due to the calendar. And the first thing that was odd for next year is for the quarterfinals, instead of the New Year's Eve and then 3 New Year's Day games, the first quarterfinal is actually going to be on Wednesday, December 30. There's no New Year's Eve game because it's a Thursday night, and apparently the NFL is going to have a Thursday night game, and they didn't want to go up against a regular season NFL game. So the first quarterfinals on Wednesday the 30th, and then the 3 games on New Year's Day, which has kind of been the norm. But then the semifinals are not for 2 weeks. They're the Thursday and Friday, the 14th and the 15th of January. And then we have to wait another week and a half for the national championship game. So that gets spread out big time. The semifinals next year will be the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. And then the following year, 27-28, we're back to the regular quarterfinals as far as New Year's Eve and 3 on New Year's Day. But again, because of the calendar, the New Year's Eve, New Year's Day is a Friday, Saturday. So they want to wait almost 2 full weeks to get to the semifinals, which will be on Thursday and Friday, but not till the 13th and the 14th. So it's a product more of the calendar than anything else, but the actual raw number of days just keeps getting longer and longer.
It's too much. And I mean, there's no like everybody when everybody's. I really try not to be a groupthink guy, and you know that by now. You've worked with me long enough that I don't do that, and I try to like walk the line between I don't groupthink and I'm not a contrarian all the time. But holy cow, is this calendar awful? Um, it it's something like there's a simple solution to it, and I get that there's logistics in playing these games in the places that they are. I understand that, but like it feels like forever from the AFC and NFC championship game to the Super Bowl. Feels like forever. Like last week, like I feel like we haven't seen a football game forever, and now we got to do it twice in college football. It's absurd. I mean, how long is the? I think Josh Pate put something out yesterday that was November 11th is the midpoint from the beginning of the season to the end.
If you consider the end, the national championship game?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that like November 11th is typically, and for our listeners, like
that's like week 12.
I'm exhausted by week 12. Like I'm like, wait, like we still have, normally it was like you would get around week 7 and you're like, all right, I'm about halfway. We're halfway here. We're half, and you have to do that. So I'm thinking as a whiny writer, I'm saying that. Think about like the players and the coaches and the burnout and the planning that goes into that. Like, I think you'll start to see teams that are, we've talked about this before, teams that are like 11-0. Why wouldn't you sit your starters? I would think about it.
A long way to go.
Exactly. I mean, if I've got 17 more weeks of football on November 11th or whatever it is, I would think about that. So it's an incredibly long calendar. I instead of compressing, we're expanding, and it, as much as I love the people at the college football playoff, I just don't think this is the right move.
No, the fans would sign up for a January 1 finale. The players certainly would. The coaches certainly would. The only people that won't are the TV people.
Right.
And that's they have handed the sport over to the television people. I mean, the players would sign up for it in a heartbeat, right? They started they're there all summer. But to be done on January 1st, they would sign up for that for sure. And you could have push the recruiting back to February if you wanted, and you could have a little space there as well, and have more emphasis on this today, the signing day in February. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of media people writing about this, and hopefully it will resonate at some point, and some common sense will prevail.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't agree with every college football writer on every issue in the sport. This one I think is pretty unanimous across the board. Like I haven't seen one person say, "Oh yeah, it's a great idea to play football from August 30th through January 25th and have huge breaks between the games." Like, but I think secretly the coaches actually like it too, in some ways, because you get more planning time if you're in those last few rounds. You get a little extra planning time. You get time to heal, and at that point in the season,
but they're losing staff. They're losing players like at the same time. They're trying to. Their coordinators trying to do 2 jobs at once.
Yeah, but I mean, when we make that a thing where you can't do both, and everybody says fix the calendar, we definitely need to do it. And one way to do that would be to compress this playoff big time.
I wrote about it 3 years ago.
Yep.
I saw it coming. All right, back to the Trocchi trivia question, and then we'll get out of here. Let's see how you can do here. So Notre Dame has had 5 legendary coaches who have coached at least 10 years at Notre Dame. Can you name them, and then can you put them in order of winning percentage?
Well, the winning percentage is going to be hard, but I can get at least. I may need a lifeline from the listeners. Lou Holtz, obviously. I just wrote about him.
Correct.
Newt Rockne.
Yes.
10 years. He was 10, right? On the nose. BK.
Correct.
Leahy.
Yes.
And Era.
Correct.
So
you got the 5 guys. Do your best.
Now, I know Rockne's 1.
Newt Rockne is 1.
Because I always compare like Ryan Day's winning percentage to him. Leahy 2.
Leahy 2, correct.
This is where it's going to get tough.
Well, you know who's fifth?
Who? BK.
Yes.
BK's 5. So 3 would probably be
Era's
3 because they didn't lose much in the 70s, and then Lou would be 4.
Lou
but how close is Era and Lou?
You got it.
You got it. Oh,
I have it up here actually. Era 836, Lou 765.
And what's Marcus Freeman at right now? I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Just
782.
Wow.
But he's only been there 5 years, of course.
Right. There's work to do that for 10 years. That's an impressive list that Lou Holtz is on with those guys, no doubt.
You nailed it, Bender. You nailed it.
I know my Notre Dame a little bit. I know my way around the Notre Dame. I knew, well, you know who those, when you walk around that stadium, right? Like Lou knew, dude, I think all 4, that BK doesn't have a statue. I think the other 4 guys do.
Yeah.
When you walk around the stadium. So, because I was making Grant and his lacrosse buddies take pictures with all of them. And who's Era? What? How does he pronounce that last name? I was like, clearly you don't know your Notre Dame football. That wasn't Grant. That was some other kid on the team. But, we had a lot of fun with that.
Continuing education by Mr. Bill Bender.
Yep.
I love it. The Bill Bender elite team. Now they're going to know their Notre Dame football history. All right. Well, that does it for the show. Thank you to everyone for listening to the CFB Nation All-America podcast, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Thank you to Irish Breakdown, your source for Notre Dame football information. We had a lot of Notre Dame talk today. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you next week, 9:30. Hopefully, Patriots will be champions again.
Enjoy.